Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Clayton and James Show. And if my football team ever played in the Community Shield, I'd count it as a trophy as well. My name is James.
And my name is Clayton.
Hey, mate. I see Arteta's getting desperate.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that is a bit tin pot. For context, anyone that's not seen it, yeah, there's a clip doing the rounds of Arteta claiming the community shields as trophies. I must say though, he has been doing that since it happened. But yeah, I do find that a little bit tin pot, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, basically, I'm scraping for my Audi Cup. I saw Hopkin looking to Co one was saying on Twitter that's why I'm going to claim the Zenith Data Trophy System Cup or something from 1991. Welcome to the Clayton and James Show, everyone. We're going to have a little chat about the Monday night football. We're going to talk about Mikhailo Mudryk's suspension as it stands, or provisional suspension as it stands at the moment. Marcus Rashford does sound like he's leaving Manchester United. We're going to have a little chat about some of the controversy about FPL assists recently. Euro focus this week is on Shamrock Rovers, who play Chelsea in the Conference League tomorrow night. And then we're going to finish on an on this day, which I promise you, every single one of you remembers. Firstly, the Monday night football, Clayton, was fun.
Well, yeah, it was. It was lively, and yeah, a very fun ending to say the least.
So 45 shots on goal, I think, which it didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like, oh, it's been 45 shots in this game. I expect this to be a 3-3 thriller. It was an enjoyable game. There's a lot of shots blocked and stuff in the game. I guess disappointing for Bournemouth. I know a few Bournemouth fans are very disappointed with the penalty award. Unfortunately, it is a penalty because you can't have your hand in that position. I don't think,
Yeah,
personally, I don't think it is natural for your hand to be right above your head. If he'd been running and his arm is outstretched sideways, I remember one given against Liverpool at Manchester City in the COVID era that felt really harsh, where I think Joe Gomez was running back and his arm was outstretched and it hit his hand and it felt harsh. It's above your head. I would say
yeah, I think it's a
if
Stonewall pen.
you're above the shoulder dimension, you are running a risk,
I
and
agree.
the hand is right above its head. What I really felt uncomfortable with was that the deflection off his hand, kind of a la Robertson's tackle. Obviously, there was a goal scoring chance afterwards. The deflection off the hand went straight into Fulkrug's path, and he probably should have scored.
Yeah, he should have scored.
There was no advantage gained. That's where I think it felt uncomfortable. There was nothing in. He's obviously not meant to do it quite clearly, but the deflection took it right into Fulkrug's pass. It felt like a bit of a weird one. Jared Bowen is not on penalties for anyone was hoping for that because I think he scored the winner against Manchester United earlier in the season. But Paquetá wasn't on the pitch then. I don't think Paquetá has missed a penalty for West Ham. I might
I'm
have
not
that
sure.
incorrect. But he's on the pens anyway. He's got that kind of languid style about him. He was back in the team. Jared Bowen played kind of, I would describe as right-sided forward, where he could kind of float out to the right-hand side, but was essentially the nine. Mohamed Kudus played on the left, so they dropped Somerville out the team. Was fairly obvious that they was going to move Wan-Bissaka to left back, with obviously Emerson suspended. Emerson will obviously come back into the team at the weekend. I guess anybody who's gambled on West Ham assets will probably be keeping for the next couple. Brighton at home have obviously had a difficult 4 game spell, and then Southampton away, and then people might be looking to move in game week 19. I guess there's a few on Jared Bowen. A few would have picked up Wan-Bissaka, who got, I guess, a controversial assist, but he's won the penalty, so you're going to get it. For Bournemouth, as an Antoine Semenyo owner, I was far happier with what I saw on Monday night. He felt way more involved than what I saw against him in my team, even though they battered my team
Hit the post, didn't he?
a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, he hit the post, was a little bit unfortunate. I would say it was very much outside of the post. Like it was definitely
Yeah.
more out than in. But it was more lively. He felt more involved in it. I don't know if that's a consequence of Marcus Tavernier is going to be out for a little bit longer. So there's probably a little bit more ownership in terms of the creativity side of things.
Yeah, possibly.
Utara being
Speaking of lively,
Tavernier's
yeah.
replacement.
Otara, flipping hell, he missed another sitter, didn't he? Was it against Tottenham where we were joking about his XG in
Oh
20
yeah,
minutes and then I saw that big chance that he had on Monday. So how's he not scored that?
yeah. I get a kind of a feeling Evan Nilsson owners little bit disappointed with their lot. And some of the upcoming fixtures are maybe look a little bit more difficult than they might have done prior to sort of this weekend. So, for example, next three are United away, Palace at home, and Fulham away. You know, all three of them have obviously all had very good results at the weekend. So, and I think there's certain players that are kind of drawing a lure at the moment. Chris Wood being one is getting spoken about again. They've just had the two Manchester clubs and Aston Villa, and their run looks a little bit better again. I don't know if Evan Nilsson owners might be getting a bit twitchy. I guess those who've invested in Kirkes or Howson and every chance would have started this week would be very disappointed to lose that late clean sheet. And so too will Lucas Fabianski owners. And I'm sure there is someone listening out there, Jonny Pringle, good morning to my Manchester City correspondent. I'll see you on COTC tomorrow, who has owned Mark Flecken and Lucas Fabianski on these two Monday night games very recently that have been looking at huge hauls
Kane.
and have not quite ended up that way.
He made some great saves, to be fair, on Monday,
He
Flappy.
did, and I know I mean it's Roshan Thomas from the Athletic put a piece together kind of straight after the game. I think he'd probably already had it pre-written about Fabianski being out of contract at the end of the season and West Ham actually needing to kind of get him tied down. I don't know. That
39 years old, fair play.
I mean, that probably speaks volumes for Alphonse Areola.
Yeah, it does.
But B, West Ham should be looking for a new goalkeeper, not necessarily right now in January, but next summer they need to find obviously a different solution. If they're Fabianski is not going to be the number one next season, surely. I wouldn't even think Fabianski necessarily lasts the whole of this season.
No. Yeah, I'm sure that's an area they'll look to sort out in the summer.
And on Lopetegui, as kind of Suj said to me yesterday, he's kind of bought some time, hasn't he? That
Yeah.
there's been so much talk about Ange a little bit recently. Russell Martin and Gary O'Neill going. We discussed that on the fan view with Bradley and Matt yesterday. Everyone's sort of forgotten about Lopetegui. It was only 1 week earlier that it was like El Sacchio. They won it, and then it was all the focus was on Wolves afterwards. Drawing at Bournemouth is a decent result. My team didn't manage that. Your team didn't
Yeah.
manage that. Manchester City didn't manage that. So getting a point there is absolutely reasonable. Bournemouth would have gone level with Manchester City on points
Oh no,
if
they're
they'd
flying.
won.
What did you just on the Lopetegui? What did you make of? Obviously, he made a change quite early on, right? He kind of took off Solar and brought on Fulkrug. Did you? What did you make of that?
Well, I think there,
'Cause that's
there
quite an
must,
offensive change, isn't it?
yeah, obviously with Antonio's terrible injury as well, you want to get Fulkrug in this team, I think, now. If they want to play with a target. I mean, the way they are at the moment, I think going through the middle, Kudos right is better than left. Somerville in the team. But then I don't know if then accommodating Paquetá as part of that is a little bit too much. It didn't truthfully feel like an appropriate game for Fulkrug
Sorry, did
because
you
it
say it
felt
did or didn't?
didn't
All right.
didn't particularly. But then he's had the big chance. Like if he scores, it's not going to be a penalty, is it? He's really dangerous if you deliver for him correctly inside the penalty area. The rest of his game, I'm not that convinced about, in all honesty. But that would make West Ham dangerous against any team where they can have any form of kind of territorial advantage over, because his movement in and around the box and the power once he gets there
Box in the
is,
box.
yeah, we saw that. I mean, even I'm thinking about to the Euro quarterfinal with Spain, and they shut themselves every time the ball come into the box. Spain, they
Yeah.
couldn't really handle him. He's
Saw
a
it with
real big
Dortmund as
physical
well, right?
presence.
Like in that run Dortmund went on, like he yeah, just in the box, his movement's very good. But I agree, outside of that, I don't think his all round game is anything special.
This is easy to forget, isn't it? This is a player who played in the Champions League final
Yeah,
in
literally.
May. Yeah. Now he's obviously had injuries and struggled very much for minutes therefore, and will need some time to get up and running. He might be one, later in the season who's obviously not been an FPL asset all season, that it might be a point late in the season we go, yeah, want to look at that. Obviously it's going to have basically no ownership at the moment. Yeah, good point for West Ham. Pressure feels like it's off Lopetegui. Bournemouth just need to keep doing what they're doing. It's a disappointing result, but that speaks volumes for them in terms of where they're at. Talking of disappointing results, there probably won't be many worse for an individual this season than what Mikhailo Mudryk has just had. So he has been given, quote, a provisional suspension at the moment for a drug failure. They have found something called meldonium in his system, which has been a banned substance, not for that long, by the way, only sort of like 5 to 6 years or so. I think Maria Sharapova, many people know from obviously tennis, has been done for this. She served a 15-month ban, I think, was originally 2 years and reduced to 15 months. What's really important in this Mudryk situation at the moment is there's two samples. So the A sample has come up as okay, this has been found in the system. If the B sample also comes up with it, he's fucked,
Right.
pretty much. If it isn't, you can possibly go down the sort of route of mitigating. Now, I understand that before this meldonium was a banned substance, it was regularly used
Oh,
by athletes in particularly like the Russia area.
okay.
What it does is it basically speeds up the process of blood, which means obviously from an endurance perspective, you can work at a higher capacity basically.
Sure.
Because of that, there is a thought process at the moment that it might have been something that's been kind of subscribed maybe from say the Ukraine national team, where that's where the failure has happened. So it's not picked up during with Chelsea; it's from there, and the FA have notified Chelsea, and it
Sure.
genuinely could be that Mudryk doesn't have a clue. I think that's a possibility here. However, having done a bit of digging, that is not going to matter
Oh, wow. Why?
because players are
It is.
warned in the summer, and they every year, and they will have been again this year, that it is the individual's responsibility to know,
And so, like you say, if sample B matches up with A, that's it. He's screwed.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Even
Isn't it?
even even if this could be a mistake, I don't want to say if it is or it isn't. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But it's not going to matter.
It's an interesting one. Obviously, I'm doing a master's in sports psychology, right? And we did a module on doping a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And I can't remember what the statistic was, but it was a very high one that doping in sports, there's this thing called a conformity model where people find themselves in environments where they tend to conform to the norms of what's around them and stuff.
Yeah.
And what you're saying there about if it's the norm in the kind of Russian, Ukrainian territory that he may have just found himself in that situation where, yeah, that's the norm. So he's going to do it to enhance performance. And it's like I mean, obviously, if he's guilty, he's guilty. But the kind of knock-on impact, my mind goes straight to like the mental health side of it. Like he's not had a great time at Chelsea. He obviously moved, like he's quite young still, right? What is he, 22, 23? Moved,
From
com
a country that's at war.
yeah, to London. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of worried for him to be honest, if he is guilty, because he's not had a good time so far. I can't imagine mentally he's in the strongest spot at the minute. But I guess if he's found guilty, he's found guilty. You have to deal with the punishment. Do you know what? I think FIFA guidelines, I remember seeing it, can be up to 4 years you can be
Yeah.
banned. Yeah.
Yeah. If I think if that B sample comes back that they found meldonium in that as well, he's looking at 2 to 4 years.
Yeah,
That
damn.
will be the initial punishment.
What did Pogba get done for?
So Pogba was reduced, wasn't it? I can't remember what it was that they'd found in
Yeah.
him, but his was reduced. So it's not to say he's definitely going to serve at least 2 years, but that will be the initial ban. Will be sort of 2 to 4 years. Then you can appeal on that. Obviously, that he's going to serve a significant period, but you could look at a circumstance where it could, in theory, be as low as a month. That's
Oh,
extremely unlikely under this circumstance. And I would suggest if there's no meldonium in the B sample, then there's a chance that he might face something like that. That's only maybe like 1 to 3 months or something like that. So yeah, I cannot foresee if they find meldonium in the B sample. I cannot foresee if he does anything less than like a year.
yeah, agree. It'll be interesting to see if it does come back positive, if there's any other Chelsea players that are involved. You never know with things like this.
I don't think so because it does sound like something that's happened ways with Ukraine.
Sure.
That's the understand at the moment. So yeah, straight down to London Coney and obviously get Zinchenko checked. Obviously, like yeah.
Yeah. You
Have we
know
got
what?
any Ukrainians?
Just get rid of Zinchenko anyway.
I don't think we do. I think it's a great point you make on the mental health aspect. It's easy to forget about this. This could be a blatant attempt at cheating. Could be. But as a few people have pointed out, well, should have found something different to cheat with because it doesn't particularly like it's helped, unfortunately. He had that incredible debut at Liverpool.
Flipping hell, yeah, that cameo. I was sat there as an Arsenal fan thinking we have missed out on a generational winger here.
Honestly,
That's genuinely what I thought watching that cameo.
I did a piece on him on Talking Tactics for advanced tier patrons over 2 years ago, and I really looked at his performance in a game at Red Bull Leipzig in the Champions League. I think he scored twice. And it struck me that his first touch wasn't very good. But if you could develop it, all the raw materials there were for a potential superstar, basically. And he came on at Anfield in sort of like the last 20 minutes, and you were like, oh my days, what have Chelsea bought here?
Yeah.
And we've never seen 20 minutes like it since.
What do you think? Why do you think that is?
Well, again, he's left the country that's at war with kind of very minimal grasp of English. There isn't anyone within that dressing room that can understand how he feels. You and I can't understand how he feels. We also know that, as you'd mentioned, we thought he was going to Arsenal. Maybe he was a bit torn. His salary is under 100 grand a week, so I don't think it was like, oh, Chelsea just smashed the money out. The length of contract might have been something that was a tempter, and that's a potential issue here for Chelsea as well. His contract ends in 2030.
Oh dear.
So Chelsea have got it's well documented. They've got players with really, really long contracts. And part of that is keeping the value of the asset, etc. So I imagine if Chelsea did sell Mudryk and this hadn't happened, are they getting their money back? Probably not, but he's not going for 10 million. They're going to get a lot of it back because of what the asset is. And also, I guess the investment is there that they'll want to improve him. And if he did say do 2-year ban here, we still look at him maybe coming back with 3.5 years left of his Chelsea contract. So Chelsea put a statement out saying that they're in support of him at the moment and going through the authorities and going to give Mudryk the support at the moment, and that's the right thing to do rather than just initially go completely down the condemnation route. Because once Chelsea would have been notified by the FA, it's not something. Oh, I don't know if he's going to play this weekend. It's obviously been going for a while where Maresca's said he's been ill. At this point, it's obviously got to come out because he's been given the provisional suspension. It's not, I don't know if Gabriel's trained. You've got to come out and say. And Mudryk himself has also put out a statement saying he has never knowingly taken. What do you think he's going to say? He's
Yeah,
not
of
going to
course.
say, yeah, well, I was in this club and yeah. And I know people have also made comparisons to Chelsea sacking Adrian Mutu and
Ah,
Mark Bosnich, which a couple of key points. One, that's 20 odd years ago. And those two players were done for recreational drug taking. Um, Bosnich was definitely cocaine, I think, and I think Adrian Mutu was as well from
okay.
memory. And the ownership is it's not Abramovich Football
Yeah,
Club
slightly
anymore,
different.
so I don't think you can read anything into that. But it's an interesting one for Chelsea in the sense that if the B substance comes back, and let's say he gets 3-year ban hypothetically. And I suspect it will probably be on the lower end, actually. I wouldn't be surprised if he only does 18 months or something. But Chelsea, I think, would have grounds to dismiss him.
As in just terminate the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
But if he's like, as if he's back and he's still got 4 years left on his contract,
I mean, they probably wouldn't, but yeah,
as
you're
an
right. I think they'd
asset,
have grounds to do it.
he's to hold, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
But it's not like he's a star player.
No.
There's
I
nothing
wonder,
we've
like,
seen since that Anfield debut to make you think that Mykhailo Mudryk is ever going to be a regular first team player for Chelsea.
no. But yeah, this is what I don't know. I'm not an accountant, but like, I imagine, yeah, what you say, he will still have time on his contract when he's back, but there's still a significant period in there where, I don't know, like, would they still have to pay those wages? Like, I don't know. That's someone for an accountant to do the maths in an Excel doc somewhere and figure it out.
I wonder if Chelsea might consider as a Mudryk replacement Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, why is this? It's all popping off on the Rashford news front in the last
Well,
24 hours.
first thing, as kind of mentioned on Monday's podcast, Ruben Amorim has stamped his authority on that football club really well. That's included during, losing at home to Nottingham Forest is not a good result. But in terms of getting it into what he wants and molding it, I think it's been a great start.
Yeah.
in terms of the process of that this is going to be my team, formations really clear, etc. And he left Rashford and Garnacho out at the weekend, and he's also kind of given the olive branch to say, look, train well this week. You're in the squad tomorrow. I suspect they probably will both be in the squad tomorrow night against Tottenham. Although Marcus Rashford, I guess, is a little bit more doubtful at this moment following statements yesterday, which I don't know if you'd be angry about that as a Manchester United fan. I suspect most aren't. But
I don't know. I've not.
the statement essentially said, "I'm ready for a new challenge."
Yeah, literally. I've not really spoken to my Man United mates to see what the verdict is, but it must be a conflicting one for them because he's obviously an academy boy, right? And I think when he was his debut, so I
It's against
remember
you.
it. Yeah, so I was just gonna say I was at that game in Old Trafford. I think it was 2016, maybe.
I
No,
think you're
maybe
right there.
before.
Yeah, yeah.
But I,
Unbelievably, yeah.
yeah,
I think you're right.
I know I got something right for once. Yeah, no, I was in the away end and obviously scored 2 goals against us that day. And yeah, what then we saw from him was an amazing talent, right? And yeah, it's been a bit of a shame what's happened to him the last couple of years. But going back to the original point, from a Man United fan perspective, it must be a bit conflicting. Like you got this academy boy that's come in, he was meant to be the next kind of big thing, and it's not really gone to plan the last 18 months. So I don't know what the feeling would be. I imagine it's probably one where there'll be like best for all parties, like they kind of want him deep down to
Yeah.
go on, be happy elsewhere, as long as it's not against them, succeed. And from their perspective, yeah, they're kind of heading in a new direction under a new management.
I think realistically, he's only going to work in that system as the nine.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen, is it?
I don't think so. No, I don't think there's enough off the ball work for what's required as the number nine in that system. I think Rasmus Højlund's done quite well actually over the last few games. Has clearly got the favouritism at the moment. As one of the tens, I just don't think that works,
No. It's interesting what
truthfully.
you say about the off the ball stuff because he's been linked with Arsenal and obviously like to work in an Arsenal team you have to work really hard off the ball and that I look at that stuff like off the ball, is that something that is just lacking in his DNA or is that something that he's just mentally a bit fatigued within that environment and just needs a fresh start somewhere else? I'm never too sure on the answer on that stuff.
No, I'm not sure either because I don't. I've definitely watched games. We highlight the game particularly at Newcastle where he was like 1 minute he
Like
did
walking.
track he tracked Tino Livramento and then there were plenty of other times he didn't. So sometimes you can have players who cheat. So good example would be take Fulham's first goal at Liverpool at the weekend, and Anthony Robinson goes bombing on the outside in the left back position, and Mo Salah watches it happen. But we know that Mo Salah is going to watch that happen because that's under instruction,
Yeah.
not to. You don't. How often do you see Mo Salah in like the right back position?
Nah,
You
never.
don't, right? So you know a player like that, he's going to cheat. It's under instruction. It's probably something he obviously wants as well. It's worth saying. Rashford, that Newcastle game, is like I've seen you do it, and now I've watched you not do it on other occasions. So it's something you're not happy doing. I don't know if that was a particular sulk on that night because he played on the right hand side as well. I think he wants to be on the left hand side ideally, but I think we know that he can do it.
Yeah,
It
that's why I'm
might be a
confused
mental
on it.
thing. It might be a physical thing. I remember when he really struggled the year before he kind of went off big. It's kind of after the 2022 World Cup. He had that incredible run of form after that. I think it was the year before, or it might have been the year after. He was playing regular. I kept he must be injured. Just kept saying, he must be injured, must be injured. And how would we know if he's not carrying problems? He had a back problem, right? He might have a permanent back problem for all you and I know. And I can tell you that's very destabilizing if that's the case, right? So we haven't got the full information. I know that he can put work in a wide area. I think to go back to the point before Chelsea fans scream at me, I don't see him being at Chelsea because his wages are massive. And Chelsea, the one thing about Chelsea spending is they've massively reduced the wage bill. Mudryk's salary is again kind of a reminder of that. He didn't go there on 200 grand a week. He's on less than 100. So I wouldn't see him going to Chelsea as say Jadon Sancho has, unless it's a real kind of short-term agreement. Like I
What
don't think
are
Chelsea signed Jadon Sancho unless Jadon Sancho takes a reduction of
no.
wages.
What is Rashford on? I see everyone talking about his wages, but I don't actually know what he's on.
I'm not sure, mate, but it's pretty big.
Right.
Ask your mate Capology, that's not reliable. But I think it's over 300, I think.
Oh, whoa.
I
Okay,
think
fair
so.
enough. Well, that kind of. negates the next question I was
That's
going
the
to ask,
comments
which is
going off when he's only on 50 grand a week,
yeah.
but I really don't think that he
But
is.
in terms of like, just forget wage for a second. What type of club or league do you think he suits with the version of Rashford we're seeing at the minute? Because I have an inkling that he should go abroad. I think even just the shit he gets from the press here, like he does a lot of good off the pitch, right, in terms of like feeding the homeless and all of that. But I don't know, like the press in this country kind of beat him for it. It feels like. So I wonder sometimes if he's better off just getting out of England, kind of fresh start, rebuild himself a bit, slower pace where he can use his pace. Don't know
Just
if
did a little search on Rashford, estimated £350,000 a week.
God
Estimated.
damn,
That could include bonuses and whatnot. I've no idea. Um, so someone's got to take that on,
not
right?
many clubs can.
Potentially. No. The only one I can really foresee is Arsenal.
I don't think we'd take on that wage. I think we'd only take him
No,
if he
I
takes a
think
cut.
he has to cut,
Yeah.
correct. But in terms of where he would go in our league, that's the only one I could see. I
Oh,
think
really?
that position has been a problem for you in
Yep.
terms of finding something consistent in terms of delivery of goals. I think the way you play might enable him to have periods where, yes, he can work hard defensively, but you'll have a lot of the ball. It's worth remembering. I mean, Manchester United had more of the ball than we'd expect at the Etihad at the weekend, but have not really been a ball dominant team for quite some time, really. So you're having to put more work in off the ball. Wouldn't have to do that in quite the same way playing for someone like yourselves. I don't see the Chelsea fit. I saw people saying about Tottenham because we'll need a Sun replacement soon. I'm thinking like, salary, whatever he reduces in salary wouldn't be enough to be joining my club. I don't think,
No?
and I don't think
What,
anyone should. He would walk into Tottenham as the highest earning player, and
who is your highest
I
donor? Do you
don't
know?
think that should happen. It's a good question, actually.
Or
I'm
like,
not
do you know
sure.
roughly what the number is? Like 180, 200?
Yeah, I don't think anyone's on 200.
Sure.
Don't think so. Again, they might have that wrong. To be honest, if I looked at their salaries, it would just make me more angry with them. So I'd rather not.
That's me with Gabriel Jesus right now, yeah.
You think not going to Barcelona or Madrid now? Atletico Madrid was one I thought about, and then you remember they spent a stupid amount of money on Julian Alvarez last summer. So that might have kind of hit what they can do because it's not like the Spanish clubs are going mad at the moment. I don't foresee the Italian clubs particularly getting involved. Saudi Arabia is obviously an option. Does he want to do that? Questionable. I can see him at PSG.
That's a shout. It's not one that I thought of, but as soon as you said it, it just went light bulb ding. Yeah, I can definitely see that.
That's the one I can see.
Yeah, I think he'd like that as well.
Well, it's close to home, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not huge. Let's be honest. For a player like him, just getting on a plane, it's not much different from fucking London, basically, and stuff.
No.
So
I believe Rashford's into his fashion as well, so he'll like it in Paris, possibly.
yeah, I hope it works out for him.
So do I.
There's been
I
so
do as
much
well.
criticism of him. Suj is always extremely quick to defend him in terms of the criticisms. I think his statement could have been read in a really negative way, and it feels like it's more been read of, okay, we understand we're all moving in a different direction here. Quite interestingly. FPL assists. So
Where do you want to start with this? Because you just told me on the agenda FPL assists, and I was like, what? What do you mean?
yeah, I think it's worth covering because we've had some silly things happen recently, which was topped off on Monday night by them very briefly for about half hour giving James Maddison the assist against Southampton.
Do you think it's just because he tweeted?
Well,
Do you think if he didn't tweet, they would have rewarded the
I saw
assist?
someone who deleted a tweet, was screen grabbed, had put a response to Andy Mears, Let's Talk FPL. And Andy, by the way, put a really nice statement out about FPL assists that's worth looking at, who had responded to Andy and said that it was a mistake. And that person deleted the tweet. And you're like, who's that? Well, you look in his bio and he works for the Premier League. So,
Oh shit.
and that account, by the way, has now been locked. So, okay, all right, fine. So it might have just been an error. Someone's got trigger happy. Someone's thought, well, Madison said he intended it, so we better give it. And we joked about this on Monday's podcast. It's like, well, how do you know? So they put a statement out, one article, let's say, kind of explaining why they've given the assist to Lewis Hall and why they haven't for, say, the Boomo one against Leicester. And they're both against Leicester. So let's use these two examples. I think this is just to help people with their understanding a little bit in terms of what FPL are trying to do. So, in the case of the Isak assist from Lewis Hall crosses the ball in. It takes a deflection, kind of a la a little bit the Tyler Adams handball from the other night, and actually diverts it perfectly into Isak's path as that handball did kind of for Nicholas Fulkrug. So people are looking and going, well, how can you say that Isak was the intended destination from Hall's cross when clearly it's the deflection that's taken it perfectly into his path? The key point here is there is no other Newcastle player in the vicinity of what is happening. There isn't. So if Hall is aiming for the 6 yard box, remember Isak is on the move towards goal. The only possible destination from the FPL determination is it has to be Isak.
Okay, that makes sense.
If you had Jacob Murphy running across the front of Isak and then the deflection happened and deviated it towards Isak, Hall probably wouldn't get the assist.
Okay.
That's how they determine it. Because what happened on the Brian Bumo one for Kevin Sade for Brentford against the same opponents was kind of basically exactly that. Between the Bumo pass and it ending up off the deflection that leads into Sade, you've got Johan Visser in between.
Okay.
So that's if you try and think of it like that, it will help with people's understanding a little bit. I'm not saying any of this is right or wrong, by the way. I'm
No,
just
but you
trying to
can
help
explain it.
how they're determining it is basically consider other players in the vicinity.
And do you know what? Fair enough, I
Well,
think.
if we can think about that and go, well, okay, there's two players there, so there's a little bit of ambiguity. We're not sure. Okay, fine. We can now know that if it's intended for an area like Hall's was, and it's intended for kind of the area where Isak is, and there isn't another Newcastle player there, he's going to get it. If Hall passes the ball towards the edge of the box and someone block tackles it and it flies to Isak where he is, he's not getting it because he's absolutely clear that Hall is going towards the edge of the box
Yeah.
rather than into the 6 yard area.
So with the Madison one, I can't remember if there was anyone else in the box when it went
Yeah,
to
like
Sun.
3 players, mate.
Oh, well, was it? Yeah, I genuinely can't remember. Okay, so why is that
Yeah.
one being given then?
No, but it was given and it was taken back.
Ah,
That's what I'm
okay.
saying. It was given for about half hour. So when they did their updates on Monday night after the Bournemouth West Ham game and they did the bonus points, a few points changed. We'll talk about that in a second. Don't let me forget. The Madison assist got added. So it was like, what? So have you been waiting for this to add it? And obviously everyone went nuts.
Yeah.
Most people don't own James Madison, and obviously
It's a
it wouldn't
principle
have
thing, right?
impacted too many people. But it was more, I did it as well. I was like, yeah, well, I bought Antoine Semenyo, but my intended destination was Ismail Assar, so I want points in it. And there was a lot of that kind of piss taking going on, because there is no way under that circumstance. But the point, as I said on Monday, was you couldn't say definitively that James Madison didn't intend for Hyun-Min Son. But under FPL's rules, where the ball was intended to, or at least landed,
There
there
was
were
one
two or
more
three
time.
other
Yeah.
Tottenham players there. Solanke was there, Saar was arriving in the box, and I think Kulusevski might have been in and around it as well. And then it gets headed on, and Son's at the back. You
Yeah.
can't give that
And
under
based on
their ruling.
yeah, and that's do you know what? The way you've explained their ruling, I quite like. It's easy for me to understand. It's easy to get on board with. As long as they're consistent with that, I don't have an issue based on how you've
Well, the problem
explained it.
is it hasn't always been.
No, and
So
that's the thing.
you've had
Historically,
ones
it
like
hasn't.
there was an Edison one, wasn't there? Where he's played it direct over the
Yeah, and
top. Someone got a touch, and I think it was against Tottenham actually. I want to say Morris scored a few years ago. Edison's done that, it's goal kick, and then Morris run over the top, bang, he's gone over the top, and Longley kind of hashed at a clearance, and Morris scored from memory, and it didn't give Edison the assist. And it's absolutely clear that the intended destination was Edison to Morris, no doubt, but he didn't get it. I think that's the right example that I'm thinking of anyway. So there's unfortunately with this, there's always going to be kind of stuff that's ambiguous and causes a bit of debate. What I'm going to do was kind of try and help people's understanding of how they're thinking.
Well,
I
you've
still
helped me.
think personally that it's not right. And I said
Why?
this on Monday because I think we need something to help a little bit more where we say, well, look, if it's a cross into the box and someone scores, give it. So if you were consistent, you went, well, that Madison one, if you're going to give that, then you've got to give pretty much every cross that comes into the box that leads to someone scoring, unless there's a clear other touch from a teammate, for example. Or you just say, we're not giving any of these, i.e., Hall's cross, it's deflected. No, we're not giving it. I think that would be better from an understanding perspective, but I also understand points is good. So the more points they can give out, the better for the game. We've probably learnt that with some of the stuff going on with the managership and that. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of allude to that a little bit, reference people to that article. And it's good that they've done that. We should give them credit to say,
Yeah.
yeah, rather than just sit in silence, come out and at least explain things. And I think that's why I kind of asked for referees to do interviews after games. Like, I'd want to understand what your what mindset was. It's okay. I will understand you better if you at least tell me what's going on. So I recommend people have a look at that article. Just one more thing on FPL though, something I really think importantly must change. And I think it's quite bad. So Monday night after the game, obviously Palmer gets like an extra bonus point. Jackson gets an extra bonus point. Saliba lost one. There's certain things happening. The reason that's happening, and it's good that they've made this change. The reason that's happening is Opta and Sky Fantasy football players will know this. Opta will adjust some of their statistics. Now that then impacts the BPS. So
Yep.
them adjusting, it's not on them. And actually, it's good that they've made this change because it means that the BPS is accurate at the end based on Opta's statistics. So it's correct. It's not, oh, I want to give Cole Palmer an extra point. No, the Opta statistics on all of the things that affect BPS change, and then Palmer ends up with an extra point. I didn't captain Cole Palmer this week, right? So did me no favours. I did have Nicholas Jackson though, so it kind of leveled out. It was all fine. I actually went up about 1,000 places, I think, because Antoine Semenyo wasn't taking me up places on Monday night. I know that. But there is a massive, massive problem with this. The massive problem isn't the change that they've made. That's fine. The massive problem is that there's nothing that they can change from Bournemouth West Ham. Now,
Why?
Bournemouth West Ham probably didn't matter that much. So here's the point. Their bonus saying, the bonus they're saying is once the final game on the final day is completed, that's it for bonus.
Right.
Here's the key and this is really important. If there wasn't a Monday night football match, Cole Palmer would have got 2 points this week rather than three. Nicholas Jackson would have got eight rather than nine. It's changed because there was a Monday night match.
Yeah, that's not great. Can't.
So next week, there's no Monday night match. So if there's an adjustment, say from Tottenham Liverpool on Sunday, and there's 4 games on Sunday, if there's adjustments on the Monday, nothing changes. That's wrong.
Yeah, that's bad.
That
That
can't be
feels
right.
that just feels like an error in there because I think the principle of what they're trying to do makes sense. It just feels like the execution there is off.
Yes. So what they need to do, and I think to be honest, you should do it now, but I don't think they will, is they need to change that. And again, people won't like it. And I know some people don't, oh, bonus points changes like afterwards. They've made this change. I think it's for the good. But at the moment, it cannot be for all matches.
Yeah.
There are 4 games next Sunday that cannot have adjustment once
No.
Opta update their stuff the next day. But yet
That's
this week, because there was a Monday night game, that can happen. They need to change this and need to change it immediately so that bonuses will be confirmed 24 hours after the last match.
that genuinely comes across to me like it's an oversight from someone in their process team that has missed out that one
So, and again,
specific
people
thing.
aren't going to like that, but that therefore means if there's a game on a Monday night, that your FPL score is not confirmed till Tuesday night.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
That's the only fair way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, do you think they're aware of that? They should be, right?
They are now.
Yeah. Well, are they listening to this show? Are they
Of
fans of the
course they
Clayton and
are. Yeah,
James
of
Show?
course. Listen, let's put it this way: even if they're not, someone else is going to raise the point now and go, "Ah, yeah, that's right." And certainly, I know Luke Disables made that point on Twitter. He put a really good thread out the other day, which included a little piece on that, and that's what triggered it in my mind. In fairness, okay, let's move on before we whinge more about FPL. It's not a major whinge; just change the game, and make it consistent. That's all. Euro focus, Clates. Floor is yours.
Yeah, or as we should say, who the Chelsea are playing team in focus. It feels like we're doing a lot of who Chelsea are playing.
But there's no other European games this week, so there wasn't really a choice.
Yeah, Shamrock Rovers are. Yeah, they've got a very interesting story on when they were founded, let's say. So there's conflicting information out there, which has now been subsequently sorted, I think.
We're not sure,
No, but we're not sure.
but go
So,
with it.
so they historically were how do I say this? People said they were founded in 1899, right? And for many years, there was dispute amongst the supporters on were they founded in 1899 or were they founded in 1901, which I
Which
will
is
come to.
particularly awkward as they're different centuries.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yes, if you want to talk a couple of years difference, sure. But this is where it gets interesting. So, like I said, there were disputes on whether it was 1899 or 1901. And for many years, the earliest mention of the club was in an archive at the National Library of Ireland, and it came from 1901. And there was an article in that program from December the 28th, 1941, that claims that the club was founded in that year, 1901. There was then research by the Shamrock Rovers Heritage Trust, and they put together a report which was in the Evening Herald from April 1899, and that reported on a match between Shamrock Rovers and a team called Rosemount from that year, 1899, sorry, which obviously insinuates that that team was in existence, they were playing.
Only exhibition matches.
Well, this is the
Yeah.
thing. There's then this thing around exhibition matches, which is basically that apparently Shamrock Rovers only played friendlies for the first 2 years of their existence from 1899, and that the club was registered with the Leinster Football Association in 1901. So, yeah, for years there was this dispute, right? But then they kind of settled on it, but throughout the 70s and 80s, 1899 was actually written on the gates of their old home, which I'll talk about in a second, called Glenmalure Park. But then since the 90s, they kind of settled on 1901, which has been adopted as their founding year. But quite a nice touch, which they did in their
So are
newest.
they 1899 or 1901?
This I genuinely don't know. I landed from my research. I've landed on the conclusion that fans talk about themselves as 1901, but they allure to 1899. And to illustrate that, they quite a nice touch. I'll talk about their stadiums and kind of
The
some.
official club website, I read on their website a little bit of their history, and even they say we can't be sure, basically.
Right, so one of us takes 1899, one of
I'm
us
going to
takes
take, I think
1901.
1899 because in the new stadium as well now, they've got a suit that's like the 1899
That's what I was just gonna
suit.
say. Yeah, so
So I think that's a kind of at least a nod.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, they opened that up in their new stadium, Tallaght Stadium, in February 2017. But yeah, that stadium is a fairly small stadium, but capacity of 8,000. But in terms of their history, that
I think it's
like
up
of
now, Clates, because they've put another end behind the goal. Just
oh,
over
have they?
10,000 now. Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, it's over
Fair play.
10,000 now.
But yeah, in terms of their history, yeah, they've had some real high highs, but some real low lows in their history. They're very successful in Ireland. I think probably statistically the most successful club.
They are. Yeah.
Um, I've actually, I'm jumping a bit here. Their rivals, one of them's called Bohemian, right? I've
Yeah.
actually got the football kit with Bohemian because it was a Bob Marley kit. So
Oh,
sorry
you
to
should have
any.
won it today. That'd been
Yeah,
so
I should
funny.
have. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just thought of that as I was reading
Oh,
a
go
bit.
on. I'll press pause. Go and get changed.
But yeah, that Shamrock Rovers, most successful club in Ireland. They've won the league title 21 times. They've won the FAI Cup 25 times. They've produced more players for the Republic of Ireland than any other team. And yeah, talking about the high highs and the low lows, a couple of their most successful periods came one in the 50s, 60s. They actually won 6 consecutive FAI Cups. They became the first team to represent Ireland in Europe in 1957. Between 1983 and 1987, they actually won 4 straight league titles. But this is where the timing of things gets interesting. So, controversially, in 1987, they decided to sell their beloved Glenmalure Park. And the final game was on the 12th of April, 1987, but it saw a pitcher invasion because fans were literally protesting against the sale of the stadium. They then went through many years of, I can only describe it as being homeless, basically. So Tallaght Stadium, which is what they've got now, they kind of got the rights to build in the 90s. So they kind of acted quickly, having sold Glenmalure Park, but then building on that site seized in 2001 and 2005, and they only actually moved in permanently in 2009. But that period after 87, where they sold Glenmalure Park, they went through like real financial adversity, and they were kind of saved in, I think it was 2005, where they were founded. Sorry, not founded. The kind of survival was spearheaded by a fan-led organization called the 400 Club, and they came in, they kind of paid some debts, they really gave some strategic direction to what was happening, and yeah, they moved into the Talat Stadium in 2009. They re-established themselves, let's say, in 2010 and 11, winning back-to-back league titles, and that was obviously their first championship after 16 years without one. And then from there, they've kind of stabilized again as a football club. In 2011, they made it to the Europa League. And yeah, they're obviously in the Conference League now. Their league campaign, I didn't know this prior to the research, it runs from February to November. So they're currently not actually playing other than in the Conference League. They're doing quite well in the Conference League, though.
They
They
are.
Yeah, they're doing very well. So they're actually sixth in there. They've won three and drawn two. But yeah, in terms of their league, they finished second last season in their league. It feels so weird saying last season in December, but yeah,
Yeah.
they finished in November. They finished second to Shelburne. But yeah, in the Conference League, they're doing well. So tomorrow's game's at Stamford Bridge. They've got one striker, by the way. Jonny Kenny, I think his name was. He's on loan from Celtic. Absolute bagsman. He scored 20 goals for them last season. But in terms of their timing of their seasons, I don't know what happens with loans and how that works with him. But yeah,
Well, it'd obviously be available for the game tomorrow night, and then I
yes.
guess it's up to Celtic whether they want the player back or not. I guess
Yeah, I guess
I
so.
don't
But
know what
yeah,
the answer to that would be in all seriousness. I suppose you're taking from a club whose season is summer to winter. So if Celtic want him to be there till the end of May and they take him back, and that's what
nothing
it will
they can.
be
Yeah,
possibly. Yeah. Yeah, they're doing remarkably well in the Conference League. To be unbeaten in the 5 games and to be sixth, and I realise some of the quality in there is obviously not the best, but that includes drawing against Apoel Nicosia and Rapid Vienna. They beat Larne, the New Saints, they're from Northern Ireland and Wales, respectively, and our friends Borac Banja Luka, which is the greatest named team in European competition this year from Bosnia and Herzegovina. They beat them 3-0
yeah,
in match day 5. So they are borderline whether they're going to finish in that top 8 or not, because realistically, they will probably get beat by Chelsea's second string tomorrow night. That's the reality, probably. But Chelsea don't need to do anything. I don't think Chelsea can finish lower than fifth, I don't think.
okay.
So they're guaranteed to be skipping like the playoff round. And obviously the Conference League finishes now. It's only 6 match days rather than 8. So this is the last set of games in that competition. Yes, we'll never know what would have happened if Chelsea had a Carabao Cup quarter final this week. It might have been fun to find out, but I'm just happy that they're out, actually, to tell you the truth. Don't worry, my team will probably be joining you tomorrow night. Just a couple of notes on Shelburne. Not Shelburne, Shamrock, sorry. First European game was against Manchester United
Ah,
in the 1957-58 season, losing 9-2 on aggregate. They also played Nice the following season. The roll call of clubs have actually played in Europe. They've played some
got
big
decent
clubs.
CV. Yeah.
Yeah, they really have. They've also held, since they moved to Talat Stadium, they also held a friendly against Real Madrid that Cristiano Ronaldo played in.
Mad.
God knows how they managed to get hold of that, but they did. Congratulations to them. And they also played my team in the 2011-12 season in Europa League, taking a surprising 1-0 lead at White Hart Lane in the second half, which did not go down well, I can assure you. We did come back and win 3-1. And then we played them at the Talat Stadium. And we were going to go. We didn't go because we wouldn't have got a ticket. But we thought the fixture was going to be switched to the Aviva.
Oh wow, that would have been an experience.
Well, exactly. It's like, when else am I going to see Tottenham play there? And I
Yeah,
want to, oh my God, I want to go. And we'd have taken like 15, 20,000 out there,
yeah.
mate. But it didn't switch it. I understand the reasons why, but the club, I don't know, probably would have made a lot more money, surely, if they'd have moved it. I understand why you want to keep it at your home, particularly for a club like that who I didn't notice at the time, but has had so many difficulties in terms of where they played and
Yeah.
actually finding a solid base in the south area of Dublin. We had to win 5-0 that night, I think, and hope that the other game between Pauk and Rubin Kazan ended in a draw. It didn't, and we only won 4-0. You know, who got Tottenham's fourth goal in that game?
What year did you say it was? 2011.
This was 2011, first ever goal for the club.
Harry Kane?
Yeah,
First ever goal in 2011.
was it
Wow.
Shamrock Rovers? Yeah.
Fair
You
play.
know, was the manager?
Poch? No. Was
Oh,
it
way
Poch?
before. Wait,
Way
Harry
before.
Redknapp, mate.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So all that, Tim Sherwood give Kane his. No, he didn't. Stop that nonsense.
What's that? Is that a narrative amongst
I've heard that a bit this week as well about, don't forget that Tim Sherwood give Harry Kane his Tottenham debut. I don't know why it became a thing again in Tottenham circles, but I heard it being mentioned this week. Okay, name me something else good that Tim Sherwood did because I can't think of anything else.
saluting Adebayor?
Saluting Adebayor, yes, absolutely. In a 5-1 victory against Sunderland, which was definitely not on this day. On this day, Clayton is from only 2 years ago.
Okay, I surely have to remember this one.
I'd be very worried if you can't remember the World Cup final from 2 years
Oh,
ago, mate.
I remember. I was in India watching that actually, and yeah, that was absolute. That final, well, the second half onwards. Oh my God, one of the greatest ever, I think.
It's
Well, I
not.
can't say.
It's strange though, isn't it? It's
No,
not.
not the match. I mean that those the moments in those periods.
To have drama like that in a World Cup final is something we'd not
I
really.
thought the first half was shit.
Well, France never had a shot.
Yeah, I thought the first half was fucking awful, but afterwards, the way it came alive, I thought it was amazing.
The drama from the point that Otamendi fouled Kolo Muani for it to become 2-1, the drama from there on in was insane. And
Yeah.
also, I think you also expect that when a game goes to extra time, the fear normally grips, isn't it? Oh, right, we're going to go to penalties here. No, the fun kind of continued from there. I mean, Argentina, I kind of remember losing interest in the game in the second half, to tell you the truth. They were
Really?
going to win. France were doing nothing. They weren't a threat at all. They got the penalty back. Obviously, Messi had put Argentina in front. Di Maria scored Argentina seconds, 36th minute, which is a magnificent goal. It's one of the great World Cup goals because of the movement, and then to do that in a final, nice intricacy involved McAllister to Messi, Alvarez, McAllister on the burst in across to Di Maria. The little Ozil finish at the end
Yeah.
into the ground. Not quite Ozil-esque, but you know what I mean.
You are right, as you're talking it through, it's coming back to my head. Yeah, I remember thinking like Argentina are just gonna go and steamroll this like comfortably now.
There weren't, I don't think it's interesting. We'll all remember it massively for Messi. I
So,
don't think it will get remembered. You know, people, you won't have seen it live, and I didn't see it live either. But when you hear about 1986, you hear the stories of kind of Maradona being like the one man team for Argentina. I don't think, I don't know if this will be remembered that way with Messi. I don't think it will be.
no,
And we
I
also
remember it
accept it
more for
was
Mbappe in this game.
Maradona was in his peak in 86. Messi wasn't in his peak in 2022. But I don't think we remember Argentina as a great team either.
No, it's felt like you remember it because it's great that one of the greatest we ever got to see won the World Cup. But what I remember of this game is Mbappe just going superhuman for a period of play.
Yeah, I mean, the second goal is mad. When you watch it back, he's obviously scored the penalty, and it's literally next minute. So
Yeah,
Argentina are 2-0 up, 10 minutes ago. This game's done. Get a penalty scored. Very next attack, ball gets dinked to him. He's on the edge of the box, and it comes to him, and it kind of looks like his body shape is dead. He's really relaxed about it. He's like, well, he's going to knock this down. He's so dead, and the moment it comes off his head, boom, he's gone.
yeah.
Running behind, receives the 1-2, and his confidence is up in that moment, strikes the volley and finds the corner. And wow, what a moment in like a World Cup final. And from being dead 2 minutes ago, you think, well, France are going to win this now.
Yeah.
This flipped really quickly. Game goes to extra time. Both teams have chances. Messi scores just about over the line after Lloris had parried a shot from, I think it was from Lautaro Martinez at that stage of the game. I think, yeah, Alvarez. It must have been Alvarez had gone off at that point. Messi scores. And I remember thinking that England and Argentina have a bit of a rivalry that's kind of known going back to the Falklands in the early 80s and stuff. But you wouldn't have felt any there was no thoughts of like Diego Simeone and Beckham in 1998 when like or any of that or Maradona's handball in 86. I think please win that trophy for that boy. Like I was generally watching the game desperate for him to. I remember tweeting just 10 minutes, please hold out for him, like because they're so tired of. He's the greatest player I've ever seen.
Yep,
And I
me
don't
too.
think that will ever change. And people are entitled to different opinions. And obviously, I haven't seen your Maradonas, your Peles, your Cruyffs, your Best, your Greaves, all these players live to truly be able to compare. In my time watching football, it's zero doubt that he's the best. And I hated that there was always, but he never won a World Cup.
Yeah,
You know, there's only one nation can win it every 4 years. Like he's not, it's not that easy. And it also felt like the chance went in 2014, and they lost to a superior and clearly better Germany. That Germany were the best team in that tournament, no doubt. So it felt like the moment had gone. 2018, they weren't great and lost to France 4-3 in the last 16. You think the moment's gone? Remember, did we watch it together when they lost to Saudi Arabia?
we did. Yeah,
We did a watch along for our
yep,
patrons. It was 10 o'clock in the morning,
yeah, yeah.
and there isn't a person around who would have thought Argentina was winning the tournament, having blown the lead and lost to
No,
Saudi Arabia.
yeah,
No
you're right. We did
way.
watch that together. Yep.
They blew a two-goal lead against the Dutch in the quarterfinals,
I
one on
forgot about
penalties.
that.
In the semi, they did very comfortably beat Croatia. But yeah, they couldn't hold out, could they? France get another penalty for a handball, which was correct. Mbappe scores hat trick in the World Cup final, doesn't lift the trophy. I
Yeah,
suspect will never happen again. It won't even be remembered as the Mbappe final, will it? Because Messi was
well, I don't know.
was on
You
the other
say that
side.
like that.
You're not. You're
That's
not.
the
He didn't win the trophy. You're not going to call it the Mbappe
no,
final,
no.
mate.
But like that. That is it's Mbappe that sticks with me more than anything in that game. To be honest, like obviously I'm same as you. So happy Messi won it, but it's the Mbappe performance that sticks with me from that World Cup final. To be honest, I think largely driven by that second goal.
Yeah, I was so pleased that he won it.
Yeah, me
And
too.
then Emi Martinez decided to fuck a glove and ruins ruin everyone's memory of it. Couple of trivia questions for you. Can you name the current Chelsea player who played in the final?
Is it Enzo?
Yes, but there's another one who also came on as a substitute.
Current Chelsea player. Uh, the centre back. Does Arce?
Wow,
Is it
that's
him?
great. Are you
Is
cheating?
no.
He came on in the
Um,
119th minute.
I was
Yeah.
just trying to think of like French and Argentinian players in their squad, and is it does that? Yeah, fair
It
play.
was Disasi, yeah. Ibrahim Konate also came on in extra time as well. Um, we should mention what we said about Martinez shagging the glove. I mean, the most iconic moment, arguably, is the save, isn't it, from
Yeah,
Mwane in
yeah.
injury time? And what everyone forgets is it was nearly, the Troy Deeney goal against Leicester.
Oh yeah, literally would have been like that.
They went down the other end of the pitch, and Martinez had a great headed chance, and it like he headed it like he had a 50p coin on top of his head. Imagine if he'd scored like 10 seconds after that Moani chance. Everyone forgets the second chance. They just remember the first one with Moani. It was a former Tottenham player who played. Well, actually didn't come on. He was in the squad.
Former Tottenham player. Again, I'm just trying to think of French and Lamella? No,
Nah,
no, that was way beyond us.
defender. I don't think you get it.
Nah. What was Romero not in the squad? I know he's a
Romero
four.
started. He's not a
Oh,
former. Yeah,
yeah.
next summer, or quicker if Daniel Levy truly wants to kill him. More of that on Tottenham Arsenal on Patreon later today. The answer's went for it.
Oh yeah, no way would I have got. Where's he now?
He went to Villarreal. I
All
think
right.
he's still there. Maybe. You've got me questioning. I'm the trivia man, Clayton, and I will test you on a quiz tomorrow. Leave the questions to me unless you want to do your own quiz. Yeah, World Cup final 2 years ago. I don't suppose we'll be doing many other recent on this days, and we definitely won't be doing a World Cup final on this day in December until
Saudi 2020, 2034
Well,
even.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's like a January or February final anyway.
Yeah, that's my, even when you said at the start of this, yeah, on this day, World Cup final, 18th of December 2022, it just doesn't sound right, does it? Like a week before Christmas. Just weird.
It could have been us, Clates.
I mean, it wasn't gonna be just
How many tournaments could we put together and go, if we just won that one?
Here's it. You know, you said earlier, no one else is ever going to score a hat trick in a World Cup final and lose. Harry Kane, next tournament, get it in your calendar. That is the
I
most
think we get
England.
to the final.
Why not?
Yes, it's coming home, kids. It's coming home. We'll talk about that in about 18 months' time. It's going to take a German to win it for us, but good. Come on, Tommy T calls England, Barmy Army. That is all for the Clayton and James show. Tomorrow, clash of the correspondents, Aston Villa versus Manchester City with Lee Jackson and Jonny Pringle. I'll be streaming with my Ask James stream on Friday. Will be a later time than normal. It will probably be around about 2:30. It might not be till 3 o'clock. Please keep an eye on socials. I will confirm as and when stream is available. Or you could just subscribe to the channel and then you will obviously know. Smash a like for the vid. If you listen to the audio, 5-star review goes a very, very long way. Be nice to each other, everyone. Cue music, please. Man child.